You keep worrying about what's behind the door you can't open. But what if I told you the doors you're trying to force aren't even the ones God chose for you? Stop stressing about the wrong keys, the wrong people, the wrong opportunities. Because if God already chose the door, no devil, no doubt, no delay can keep it shut. Somebody needs to hear this. You're not locked out. You're being let in. God already chose your doors. Stop worrying. God already chose your doors. You keep staring at the one that didn't open. You keep replaying the rejection, the missed opportunity, the path you thought was yours. And the enemy whispers, maybe you missed it. Maybe you messed up. Maybe God forgot you. But let me remind you of something. God is not indecisive. He's not scrambling in heaven trying to figure out your next step. Before you ever breathed your first breath, He already chose the doors you would walk through. There's something exhausting about standing in front of a door that refuses to open. You've been rattling the handle, pushing with all your weight, praying under your breath, God, just let me in. And when the door doesn't budge, you start to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't this work? Why won't God make this easier? But listen to me. God's chosen doors don't require force. Think about it. When a door is truly yours, you don't have to twist yourself into knots just to fit inside. You don't have to shrink down your worth, silence your voice, or beg someone else to let you through. When God places a door in your path, He places a key inside of you that matches it perfectly. And when it's time, that key turns with peace, not panic. With alignment, not anxiety. Now, I'm not saying that God's doors are always wide open and effortless. No, sometimes they require courage. Sometimes they require waiting. Sometimes they require faith that feels uncomfortable. But here's the difference. Courage strengthens you. Waiting refines you. Faith builds you. Forcing drains you. Forcing bends you until you can't even recognize yourself anymore. Some of you are so tired because you've been forcing doors that were never meant to be yours. You've been chasing opportunities that don't carry your name. You've been trying to hold onto relationships that God already released. And the reason you feel depleted is because you're trying to live in a room you were never called to enter. I want you to picture this. Imagine walking through a house where none of the doors seem to fit your key. Every lock clicks against you, every handle resists, and you're sweating, you're frustrated, you're exhausted, because you're trying to prove something that God never required you to prove. And meanwhile, right down the hall, there's a door swinging wide open, waiting for you to notice. That's what happens when you stop forcing and start trusting. God's chosen doors don't require you to sacrifice your soul on the threshold. They don't demand that you compromise your character to gain entrance. They don't ask you to abandon your values just to fit in. When the door is yours, you'll still have to walk through with courage, but you won't have to bruise your spirit forcing something that was never ordained. Let me give you an image. Have you ever watched someone try to force a key into the wrong lock? They jiggle it, they twist it, they push harder and harder until the key bends, sometimes even breaks. That's what happens to us spiritually when we keep trying to open the wrong doors. We bend ourselves, we break pieces of who we are, and all the while God is whispering, that's not your lock. That's not your assignment. That's not your door. And here's the beautiful truth. The right key slides in with ease. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because alignment feels different than striving. Peace feels different than panic. You'll still need to turn the handle. You'll still need to step forward, but you won't need to destroy yourself to enter. Let me speak this over somebody. You've been exhausting yourself, thinking the resistance means you're failing. But sometimes resistance is God's mercy, not God's punishment. He's keeping you out of a room that would have crushed you. He's blocking a path that would have stolen your joy. He's guarding you from a counterfeit door so He can lead you to the one He handpicked for your destiny. You see, we live in a culture that glorifies hustle, grind, and forcing our way into opportunities. And yes, God honors hard work. Yes, God blesses diligence. But there is a difference between diligence and desperation. Diligence is faith in action. Desperation is fear in overdrive. And when you're desperate to prove your worth, desperate to make it happen in your own strength, desperate to push through the door no matter what, you'll end up drained, bitter, and empty. But when you trust God's chosen doors, you move with peace. You operate with joy. You work hard, yes, but you're not striving for scraps. You're walking in alignment. I can almost hear someone asking, but how will I know it's my door? You'll know because even in the difficulty, there will be peace. Even in the waiting, there will be hope. Even in the challenge, there will be growth. The right door will stretch you without breaking you. It will demand faith without draining your soul. And when you walk through, you'll look back and say, only God could have aligned that. Let me tell you, when God opens a door, it fits. It fits your calling. It fits your gifts. It fits the season you're in. And you won't have to stand there pounding, begging, or forcing your way inside. Because when God says, this is yours, no enemy, no rejection, no delay can keep you out. So here's my challenge for you. Stop wasting your energy on doors that resist your spirit. Stop trying to force your way where God has not called you. Stop exhausting yourself over what you think you need and start trusting the one who already knows where you belong. Because God's chosen doors don't require force. They require faith. They require obedience. They require the courage to walk away from what doesn't fit so you can step into what was always yours. And when you finally release the doors you were never meant to open, you'll find yourself standing in front of the one that opens with ease. Not because you forced it, but because God already chose it. There's a certain kind of frustration that comes from waiting on that call, waiting on that opportunity, waiting on the breakthrough you've prayed about night after night. And the longer you wait, the more the enemy whispers, see, God's not listening. He's forgotten you. It's never going to happen. But I came to tell you today, delay is not denial. Delay is not God turning his back on you. Delay is not the universe saying you're unworthy. Delay is often God's mercy in disguise, because if he gave you what you're asking for right now, before you're ready, it wouldn't bless you. It would break you. We get so caught up in time. We measure everything by the clock, by the calendar, by our deadlines. We think if it hasn't happened by now, maybe it's never going to happen. But God does not operate on our deadlines. He doesn't live confined to our calendar. He works in seasons, not seconds. And just because you're still waiting doesn't mean he's not working. Let me paint this picture for you. Imagine a seed underground. Weeks go by and nothing seems to be happening. No sprout, no green, no sign of life. But underground, where no eye can see, roots are stretching, foundations are forming, life is being established. If you judge the seed by the delay of the sprout, you'll think nothing is happening. But if you trust the process, you'll realize the delay was preparation for a stronger harvest. That's how God works. What looks like silence is often set up. What feels like pause is really preparation. And when the door finally swings open, when the prayer finally gets answered, when the opportunity finally appears, you'll realize the wait wasn't wasted. It was necessary. I know how hard it is to sit in that hallway between closed doors and opened ones. I know what it feels like to see everyone else getting married, getting promoted, having children, buying homes, while you're stuck in the waiting room of life, wondering if God overlooked you. But delay does not equal denial. Their timeline is not your timeline. Their door is not your door. And just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Sometimes God delays because he's protecting you. You thought you wanted that job, but he knew it would crush your spirit. You thought you needed that relationship, but he knew it would derail your calling. You thought you were ready, but he knew the weight of the blessing would break you if he released it too soon. And so he delayed not to punish you, but to prepare you. Have you ever watched a parent with a child at Christmas? The child is begging for that shiny new bike, desperate to ride it, convinced they're ready. But the parent knows if I give it to them too soon, without balance, without training wheels, they'll hurt themselves. Delay is not me saying, no, forever. Delay is me saying, not yet, because I love you too much to watch you fall. That's how your heavenly Father works. He's not denying you. He's developing you. He's strengthening your faith, building your patience, shaping your character. Because sometimes the blessing isn't in getting what you asked for. Sometimes the blessing is in what God builds inside of you while you wait. Think about the story of Lazarus. Jesus didn't show up when everyone thought he should. They said, if only you had been here, he wouldn't have died. But Jesus delayed on purpose. And when he finally showed up, he didn't just heal Lazarus, he raised him from the dead. What looked like a tragic delay turned into a greater miracle. Sometimes God delays not to deny your request, but to multiply his glory. And maybe that's your story right now. You've been waiting so long that you feel like hope itself is running out. But hear me, God is not late. He is not absent. He is not ignoring your prayers. He's orchestrating something bigger than your deadline. He's setting the stage for something greater than what you imagined. Delay teaches us to trust. Delay strips us of the illusion of control. Delay reminds us that God is God and we are not. And when you finally walk through that door, you won't just be grateful for the blessing, you'll be grateful for the journey that shaped you while you waited. So stop assuming that just because it's delayed, it's denied. Stop writing the ending of your story when God is still holding the pen. Stop letting impatience rob you of peace. Your delay is not wasted time, it's preparation time. When the time is right, the door will open. When the time is right, the answer will come. When the time is right, the promise will be fulfilled. Because God's timing is never off. He's never too early, and He's never too late. Delay is not denial, it's development, it's protection, it's preparation. It's positioning you for something you couldn't handle if it came too soon. So don't give up in the waiting. Don't assume the silence means absence. And don't let the delay convince you that God's answer is no. Because if He promised it, He will do it. If He spoke it, it will come to pass. The wait may be long, the hallway may feel endless, but the door is still coming. Delay is not denial. It never has been, and it never will be. There's a certain restlessness that comes when you're standing in front of a decision. You know that feeling, the racing thoughts, the tightness in your chest, the endless what-ifs running circles in your mind. You pray for clarity, but all you get is noise. You ask for a sign, but the signs feel mixed. You keep asking, God, how do I know if this is the right door? How do I know if this is really from you? Let me give you the answer in 3 simple words. Peace is proof. Not ease, not comfort, not convenience. Peace. The kind of peace that doesn't even make sense. The kind of peace that shows up in the middle of chaos when by all accounts you should be falling apart, but somehow your spirit feels steady. That peace is not man-made. That peace is not circumstantial. That peace is the fingerprint of God. See, we often think the proof of God's will is that everything lines up perfectly. The job offer comes through with no obstacles. The relationship feels flawless with no conflict. The opportunity drops in our lap without a single challenge. But that's not how life works. That's not even how faith works. Sometimes the very doors God has chosen come with resistance, opposition, and spiritual warfare. But here's the difference. You may feel the resistance, but you won't lose your peace. Peace doesn't mean the storm stops raging. Peace means you're anchored while the waves are crashing. Peace doesn't mean you won't feel nervous. Peace means you won't be ruled by fear. Peace is not the absence of trouble. It's the presence of God in the trouble. Think about it. Jesus was asleep on the boat while the disciples were panicking about the storm. Why? Because He carried peace. The storm was real. The waves were real. But His peace was proof that He had authority over what was threatening them. And the same is true for you. When God has chosen a door for you, peace will guard your heart even when chaos surrounds your mind. I wonder how many of us keep mistaking confusion for a sign that we're on the wrong path. But confusion and chaos are not the same thing as peace. The Bible says God is not the author of confusion. If every step you take toward that door makes you feel more fractured, more anxious, more insecure, pay attention. Because forcing your way into something that steals your peace is proof that it might not be your door. On the other hand, have you ever walked into a situation that should have scared you to death, but you felt calm? You should have been panicked, but instead you felt steady. That's the peace of God confirming this is the way, walk in it. I think of peace like a compass. It may not tell you the speed. It may not show you the full map, but it points you in the right direction. And when you learn to follow that compass, you stop chasing what looks shiny and start stepping into what carries God's signature. Let me give you an image. Imagine standing at a fork in the road. Both paths look good. Both look promising. Both look like they could work. But as you take a step down one path, you feel uneasy. Your spirit feels unsettled, like something is off. That's not just nerves. That's not just fear of the unknown. That might be God whispering, this isn't it. Then you step back, take a breath, and try the other path. And though it still looks uncertain, you feel peace settle over you like a blanket. You don't know all the details, but you know this is right. That's peace as proof. Peace doesn't mean the absence of hard work. Peace doesn't mean the absence of risk. Peace means alignment. Peace means God's Spirit is bearing witness with your spirit. Peace means you don't have to betray your values or abandon your identity to make it fit. And let me be clear, peace is not passive. It's powerful. It's not It's not weak acceptance. It's divine confidence. It's standing in the middle of a battlefield with arrows flying, but your heart is steady because you know who called you here. It's looking at the giants in front of you and knowing, if God brought me to this door, He'll give me peace to stand behind it. So many of us are living without peace because we keep saying yes to things God never chose. We keep stepping into rooms where our spirit is restless. We keep ignoring the lack of peace because the opportunity looks too good to pass up. But let me tell you, if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. If it costs you your joy, it's not worth the price. Peace is proof. Proof that you're in the right place. Proof that God's hand is on it. Proof that you don't have to force it, fake it, or fear it. And when you learn to follow peace, you stop wasting energy on doors that drain you and start walking through the ones that sustain you. So here's the challenge. Stop looking for proof in the opinions of people. Stop looking for proof in perfect circumstances. Stop looking for proof in how easy it feels. Start looking for peace, because peace is the one thing the world can't manufacture. Peace is the one thing the enemy can't counterfeit. Peace is the one thing that only God can give. And when you find it, hold on to it. Let it guard you. Let it remind you that the door God has chosen for you is marked not with confusion, not with striving, not with anxiety, but with peace. Because peace is proof. Proof that you're in alignment. Proof that God is present. Proof that this door belongs to you. There's a kind of freedom that comes when you finally realize this. What God has chosen for you, no one can take away. His choice is final. His decision is secure. His will is not up for renegotiation with the opinions of people. And the doors He has opened cannot be shut by rejection, failure, or even your own mistakes. But here's the problem. So many of us live like God's plan is fragile. We treat His promises like they're hanging by a thread, one wrong move away from collapsing. We walk around in fear that somebody else is going to snatch what belongs to us, that we're too late, that we've missed our shot. And the whole time God is saying, my child, what I have chosen for you is sealed. My choice is final. Think about it. Revelation 3:7 says, what He opens, no one can shut, and what He shuts, no one can open. That means if God has declared a door open in your life, no critic, no devil, no insecurity, no circumstance can lock it. And if He's closed the door, no amount of forcing, begging, or striving will pry it open. God's choice carries ultimate authority. It's like a king's decree in the ancient world. When a king sealed something with his stamp, that decision was untouchable. No one dared to override it. That's how God operates. When He stamps something with His choice, it carries the weight of heaven behind it. And yet we spend so much of our lives worrying that people's opinions or even our own shortcomings can somehow overturn what God has already chosen. Let me paint this picture for you. Imagine a courtroom where every voice is shouting against you, accusers pointing out your past, critics doubting your future, even your own inner voice listing every flaw, every failure, every reason you don't deserve the door in front of you. But then the judge stands, bangs the gavel, and says, case closed. My decision is final. And suddenly, every other voice goes silent. That's what it means when God chooses. His word overrides every accusation. His choice silences every doubt. Now, don't misunderstand me. God's choice being final doesn't mean the path will be easy. It doesn't mean people won't oppose you or that obstacles won't rise up. It doesn't mean you'll never question yourself. But here's the difference. Obstacles can't cancel His decision. Delays can't erase His decree. Your doubts can't undo His design. What He has spoken over your life stands. Period. Some of you need to hear this because you've been living under the weight of regret. You keep replaying the mistakes you made, the opportunities you missed, the seasons you wasted, and you've convinced yourself, I ruined it. God's done with me. But listen, your failure is not stronger than God's choice. Your missteps can't cancel His mission. His call is irrevocable. His love is unshakable. His decision is final. Think about David. God chose him to be king while he was just a shepherd boy. But between the anointing and the crown, David made mistakes, big ones. He ran, he hid, he even fell into sin. Yet God's choice remained. The throne still had His name on it. Why? Because God doesn't base His final decision on your temporary failures. And maybe that's the word you need right now. You've been questioning if you're disqualified, if you've messed up too badly, if it's too late for you. Hear me clearly. If God chose you, then you are chosen. And His choice is final. It's also final in another way. Nobody else can steal it. Sometimes we look at others and think they got our spot. They took our blessing. They stole our opportunity. But what God has chosen for you is yours. And what He has chosen for them is theirs. There is no competition in the kingdom. There is no shortage in His supply. You don't have to live jealous. You don't have to live insecure. What's yours is yours. God's choice is final. And here's the powerful thing about His choice. It brings peace. When you finally grasp that His decision is secure, you stop striving to prove yourself to people. You stop forcing yourself through doors He didn't open. You stop panicking about every setback and rejection. Because deep in your spirit, you know if God chose it, it will happen. If He didn't, I don't need it. His choice is my confidence. His choice is my assurance. Let me take you back to that courtroom image one more time. Picture every voice rising against you again, the critics, the doubts, the lies. But this time, instead of panicking, you sit in silence because you know the judge has already made his ruling. And when he finally speaks, it echoes through eternity. My choice is final. That's the voice that matters. That's the authority that stands. So here's my challenge. Stop living like God's plan is fragile. Stop giving fear more authority than God's decree. Stop acting like people's rejection is more powerful than His selection. The only vote that counts in your destiny is His, and He already cast it in your favor. God's choice is final. Final over your past. Final over your present. Final over your future. And when He says, this is the door, this is the calling, this is the life I've chosen for you, nothing and no one can undo it. So lift your head, walk with confidence. Stop second guessing every step, because the same God who chose you is the one who will carry you through. His word stands. His plan prevails. His choice is final. Stop doubting. Stop forcing. Stop fearing delays. Peace is your proof, and God's choice is final. The doors He has for you cannot be stolen, denied, or shut. Walk in faith, rest in His timing, and trust. If God chose it, nothing can stop it.